When the first headlines broke, they called her an Instagram star. But Bianca Devins wasn't famous. She was a 17-year-old girl struggling with mental health, identity, and the normal chaos of being a teenager. She trusted the wrong person, someone who thought if he couldn't have her, no one could. And what he did next, he didn't just kill her, he shared it with the world. This is the disturbing, true story of Bianca Devins, the girl whose murder was posted online.
Buckle up. You're listening to Voltage and Villains.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Voltage and Villains. I'm Moira.
I'm Phoenix.
And today we're going to be talking about the disturbing story of Bianca Devins.
Before we start, I do want to say thank you to everybody that's been listening and watching and subscribing. I think currently right now we're at 425 subscribers. We're growing a lot faster than we expected. So thank you to everybody that's been watching. And if you guys do listen to podcasts on Spotify, we're also on Spotify. Turn on automatic downloads and give us a 5-star rating. That would be awesome. All right, I'm ready.
Let's get started. Bianca Devins was a 17-year-old from Utica, New York. If you know anything about New York, you know Utica is not New York City. Utica is far from New York City. It's
I think it's like a 3-4
hour drive. Mm-hmm. Yep. So she was from Utica. She grew up in Utica. She was known for her presence on Instagram and Discord. Bianca was a person who liked to be on those chat pages. So, you know, forums like Reddit and like
you
bulletin boards.
Famous off of being on bulletin boards and stuff.
So basically Bianca was very active on modern bulletin boards and like Reddit pages type of thing. Some of the online boards she used was 4chan, RK9, Discord. She had multiple different usernames.
And what would she talk about?
She would post pictures of herself, selfies.
All right.
So this
was like OnlyFans, but for message boards?
Not
in a way.
OnlyFans. It was more of like just a selfie. It wasn't like OnlyFans. I'm in lingerie. It was like a picture of myself, e-girl type of vibe.
Okay, I got you. Yeah,
and this happened around 2019.
So it's kind of like being Instagram famous for being pretty, but just on 4chan,
but just on like
Reddit and stuff.
Yes, on bulletin boards and forums, essentially. Gotcha. So Bianca garnered a lot of like male audience people, like a lot of like male fans. A lot of people referred to her fans as incels. Incels are essentially like men who are celibate.
Yeah.
And
not by choice.
Not by
most
choice.
Of the time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, incels.
And they become violent. They become kind of like rude.
Some
violent.
of them can.
Some of them can.
Yeah.
But
and it usually does manifest in violent ways. Like if you're just I think like modern day incels are like the primary people that pay for OnlyFans girls and things like that.
Yes,
and exactly. They do go on to become like not all of them, but some of them do go on if they don't change their ways to become like aggressive stalkers and things like that. Yeah. I believe Ariana Grande even had like one of those like stalkers like a few years ago, right?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe she had like a crazy stalker and I believe he was like an incel.
So around the time that Bianca passed away, she was 17 years old. She was about to turn 18. She was looking forward to going to the Mohawk Valley Community College, aiming to help others facing mental disorders. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, depression. Later on in her middle school years, high school, she ended up getting hospitalized, mental institution hospitalization multiple times. She suffered from a lot of issues, and part of those issues were thanks to her dad, who was like emotionally violent to her and her mom and her sister when they were younger. Her parents divorced. Her parents separated. So, you know, it was good that she wasn't going through that mental, emotional roller coaster, but she still had like those problems. She got hospitalized for those because Bianca would just apparently lie. She would just lie about things. She would just say, "Oh, I'm Jewish," or "Oh, I'm on the autism spectrum." Like just random lies.
So she was a what is it called? Pathological liar.
Kinda. Nah, she wouldn't lie all the time, but she just lie about random stuff.
I think that still makes you a pathological liar. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know the definition. I don't know the full definition, but I feel like that's like
I feel like it does
along those lines, something like that.
So she was aiming to, study psychology in community college. She found, obviously, she tried to find ways to fit in. She was very popular apparently in like middle school, elementary school. But once she kind of got to her later years, I guess her teenage angst was getting to her. So she kind of like became more secluded. She ended up like going to boarding, like not boarding school, but going to school outside of school, like an online school. She ended up, like I said before, going to mental institutions. So she kind of like found solace on online communities. That's how she ended up on those forums like R9K and 4chan. That's where she ended up. She was also really pretty. That's the thing. She was like model type pretty. There's one picture that her mom's friend took of her, and she's like modeling, and it's like
wow,
you'd swear you find it on a magazine.
Wow.
Basically, she expressed herself through her art on these online communities. And basically, her art was also sometimes pictures of herself, selfies. She also had multiple accounts with different names. On Tumblr, she was known as Switchblades. On 4chan, she was known as Oxy. On Snapchat, she was known as Virgo Venus, and on Discord, she was known as Bia.
And she's famous on all of these individually?
She wasn't necessarily famous, but she was just well-known. She had like a little bit like of a...
Yeah, so she's well-known on each platform under a different name?
Yes.
I mean...
Not well-known, but she was known.
Known? Yeah. So that means she's spending a lot of time, because it's one thing if you're going from platform to platform and you have the same name, and then there's other people that go from those platforms to other platforms and they recognize that name and go, oh, I recognize you from 4chan or whatever. Right. But like if you're kind of getting well known on these different communities under different names, you're spending a lot of time.
Yep. That's what she did. She spent a lot of time. Remember, at some point she started homeschooling. She started doing school online.
So she had all the time.
So she had all the time.
It's kind of like working from home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She was just, by herself at home, and her depression and her bipolar disorder kind of like didn't help, because now she became more secluded and more like to herself and more just on her phone. Her family says that she was on her phone a lot. She was in her room on the computer a lot. So it makes sense. Like I said before, she was part of a forum called R9K. Initially, this is a forum for posting original content. However, it's really a place for people who are the loner type to hang out. And they talk about being depressed, and they talk about why they're depressed. The platform is predominantly male, which means that girls are on R9K are often prone to garner large followings in a short amount of time. Hence, where the insoles and that kind of like fan base activity comes in.
Okay.
Also, the girls who are popular on these platforms, they tend to share similar characteristics. They're slender, round-eyed, they're overwhelmingly white. They have a lot of cosplay or Korean or Japanese-inspired fashion. So it's one of those
so they oftentimes resemble an anime character.
Angst, anime character, all that type of vibe. So essentially, she became very popular, but a lot of her friends said that she did not have boundaries on these platforms. So if someone were to hit her up, she wouldn't necessarily... not say no, but she would leave the door too open.
Okay. Too accessible.
Yeah. She was way too accessible for someone her age, for a female, all these different things.
On these types of websites that's interacting with these types of individuals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of these men were also known as orbiters. They would worship young girls. These orbiters idolized young girls. They became obsessed with them. They would send girls gifts, money, drugs, and obviously they expected something in return.
Yeah, so photos.
So pictures, right? And if the girl did not meet their expectations, whatever information, whatever pictures they had of them...
they get leaked?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yep.
And then that's why revenge porn is now against the law in a lot of states.
Yep.
Because people are abusing that.
And usually, sometimes they would get doxxed. So their addresses, their information, their private information would get leaked. Some girl online mentioned that an orbiter threatened her with violence. Basically, the orbiter had told the girl, hey, if you don't send me a nude, I think it was a nude that he was asking for. He had told her that if she doesn't send him a nude, he's gonna call in for a school shooting threat to the police. And the girl didn't believe him. The girl was like, please, stop. And days later, there was a call to her school
of a school shooting. Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
on 4chan, Bianca met one of her ex-boyfriends. Let's say his name is Michael. At the time that they met, he was 18 and she was 15. They dated on and off for about 2 years, a little bit more.
Now hold on.
Did
she met Michael through the same
through
means
4chan.
through 4chan?
She met Michael through
Was
4chan.
he one of the people that she was sending pictures to, or was he like just somebody that she was talking to on like one of these boards?
She was probably sending him pictures where no one's really ever sure of like what the full story is behind Michael.
Story, but they just know that they met on a message board.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Cool.
He was an 18-year-old that lived in Long Island. So in 2017, she ran away and started living with Michael. Her mom found her with the help of a private investigator because she would not pick up calls.
Oh, she was gone.
She was gone. She was not coming back.
How long was she gone for?
I think she was gone for like 2 weeks.
Oh my god!
Until like a week.
So her mom really thought she was missing, or did her mom know like she ran away?
Her mom had a feeling because remember, Bianca does have different mental disorders like bipolar, depression. So her mom was like worried, like okay, like what is it?
Okay,
right. And then through a private investigator, she found out that she began living with Michael. Her mom basically called the police on them. And when Bianca found out that the police were looking for her, she decided to run in front of traffic.
What the heck?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And at that time, when she ran in front of the car, she got put into a mental institution.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, you got like when the police catch you now, they're not gonna bring you back home.
No.
Now we have to bring you to a mental institution so that way you don't hurt yourself. Because why is it that serious? And I mean, like, it's that serious because she had mental issues, but that's just like very unfortunate that like that's where her mind went when the cops came to get her to just bring you back home. Like it wasn't that deep.
No, it wasn't.
You know? So you have to spend some time in it. Like something is clearly wrong.
Something's wrong. Exactly. Bianca broke up with Michael, who obviously accused her of messaging other guys. And because he strongly believed that she was messaging other guys, he retaliated and sent explicit content of him and Bianca doing the deed to people on Discord, another platform that Bianca was known as Bia on Discord was active in. So people who had seen that content, and mind you, she was a minor at that time.
Yeah, so his ass should have been in jail for that.
Exactly.
You're above 18, bro. You're already skating on thin ice, buddy.
Yep.
And now here we go with the online content.
Right.
Crazy.
But that didn't stop Bianca. Bianca just kept running away and going back to Michael. Her mom filed 3 police reports between August 2017 and June 2018. Bianca told one of her mental health counselors that she was seeing at the time that she fantasized of self-exiting and ended up being hospitalized in a psychiatric unit once she ran away with Michael again.
How many does it say how many times? Do you know the exact number of times she ran away?
There's no exact information on the number of times she ran away.
But she ran away
but
a few times.
It was over 3 because her mom filed 3 police reports.
Okay.
So probably
so
3 to 5.
3 to 5 times.
Probably
That's a lot, man.
Which is a lot.
That's a lot of times. Like at what point do you just like have to just sit in a psychiatric ward for a couple years like it's juvie or something?
Exactly.
You know?
And at that time, because of her statement that she wanted to self-exit and, of course, running away, her mom placed her in a persons in need of supervision hold.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
The judge ordered Bianca to wear an ankle monitor, but she violated the court order by cutting off her ankle monitor and once again running off with Michael in June 2018.
Where the hell are they going every time they run off? Just to his house?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
After she violated her order, she got moved to St. Anne's Institute, a residential facility in which she ended up spending most of 2018 away from her family. She was released in 2019 and returned to high school and graduated.
She went back to regular high school?
Yeah. So when she went to St. Anne's, it was known that she did really well. She did there. People there liked her. She got a lot of treatment for her mental disorders, like things that like help you kind of like
assimilate back. Yeah,
essentially.
that's good. Yeah.
So that's how she ended up going back and graduating. Now, in spring of 2019, Bianca met a man named Brandon Clark, a 21-year-old, on Instagram in April of 2019. He was from the Syracuse area. So Syracuse is very close to Utica. It's maybe like less than an hour
I'm
away.
forgetting that. Damn, so she was traveling pretty far to go out to Long Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking the other way around. Like I was, for some reason, I was thinking that, okay. So from Utica to Long Island, that's about 3 to 4 hour trip. So her running away those times, it's like, you're taking a bus and you're traveling like super far. But up to Syracuse, that's like about another 2 hours, just about from Utica to Syracuse.
Like maybe an hour.
Maybe, yeah. So,
but she wasn't necessarily running away with him, but she met.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, now this person's a lot closer.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not as like crazy to be like, I'm running away for like the 8th time and I'm going 4 hours away. Like that's
but
like
remember
insane.
At this time where she met Brandon Clark, she had already
She's
graduated.
like kind of rehabilitated in a way. Yeah.
So she was good. Brandon had also apparently had a traumatic, violent past. When authorities began looking into Brandon after some events happened, they found out that his dad held his mother at knife point for 10 hours because Brandon's dad believed that Brandon's mom was cheating on him.
Damn.
So imagine you're a kid and you're witnessing your dad hold your mom at knife point for 10 hours.
Sounds like the origin story to a serial killer.
No.
Sounds like the origin story that Richard Ramirez kind of had. Like he watched his uncle kill his... He watched, I believe it was his uncle or his older brother, kill his wife.
Yes.
In cold blood.
Yes.
And then
he got told stories about war or something like that.
It's like, doing shit like that in front of a little kid, you could change up a lot of stuff in their brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. Brandon also ended up in foster care a few months later because his mom, after his dad was in prison, ended up in jail as well. Damn. So he ran through the foster care system for a very long time.
Damn. So if she ended up in jail, there's no telling. Like there must have been a bunch of shit going on in that house. Not just that instance.
Not just that instance.
Yeah. So he's jacked up too. He's an incel, I'm assuming, because he's on these message boards like most like.
Well,
just
they met on
there.
Instagram, but
they met on Instagram. Okay, so this one was different.
This one's a
little different. Yeah. Okay. Because I was gonna assume if she met him through the message board, there's no telling who's on there. And like, if you're talking about the majority of those people on there were like incels and like, orbiters and just trying to get away from reality. And you live that type of background, like, you got mental issues probably too.
Yeah, you have some sort of like something going on there. So Brandon and Bianca obviously became really close. Bianca introduced Brandon to her mom. Her mom actually quite liked Brandon. She believed that Brandon was polite and kind. So she had no problem with them hanging out, especially since Bianca was well rehabilitated and obviously well on her way to continue living her life. Brandon began doing weird things. He developed an obsession with Japanese manga featuring young girls. So this information again came out much later. Also, one of his friends stated that Brandon began texting a 12-year-old when he was 16.
Oh my gosh.
But that's the thing. Outside of knowing all of this stuff, Bianca got along with Brandon. Bianca also always made it clear to Brandon, like, hey, we're just friends. Like, there's not much more going on. Like, I'm not necessarily interested in you. And then there were other reports that said that Bianca told him that they were not exclusive. So I guess it was like a back and forth of like, yeah, we flirt, yeah, we talk, but that's it. We're not exclusive type of thing.
Okay. So you're a friend that I flirt with from time to time. Right. And it might feel like sometimes we're dating, but we're not. And even if sometimes technically for like this day or that month or whatever we are, we're not exclusive.
Yeah.
So there was this weird ass limbo period.
Yes, okay, exactly.
Gotcha.
Brandon sometimes tried to call himself her boyfriend, and Bianca would stop him. She'd be like, no, definitely not. You're not my boyfriend.
Wow.
And obviously Brandon was not psyched about this. Bianca's friend said that she complained about Brandon being creepy and his obsessive messages, which he had sent, outside of calling himself her boyfriend and just being weird. But, no one really saw it as particular. Brandon was just another orbiter. And it was far from uncommon within the community for orbiters to exhibit this type of persistent boundary crossing behavior. So orbiters were either like, they're known to be like either this like, yeah, I'm sending you money or I'm flirting with you or I'm doing this, but like, that's it. They weren't really insistent. You know what I mean? If a girl didn't really pay much attention or didn't really respond, they'd be like, all right, they just back off. But Brandon was obsessive. He was pressing on that gas.
On Bianca.
On Bianca.
Okay.
Bianca told her mom that she was going with Brandon to a Doppelganger concert in Queens, New York City, on July 13, 2019.
Okay.
So this was summertime, you know, the city lights up with concerts and all that stuff, and everything is kind of lit in the city. So Bianca's mom really had no problem with it. She was like, okay, I trust Brandon. I trust he's going to bring you home. So on July 13th, Bianca and Brandon go to the Doppelganger concert in Queens. They are said to have met up with a third person, a guy who goes by the name of Oipo. We're going to call him O for the sake of this podcast. He was a longtime member of these boards. Him and Bianca had been a part of the same online community, so that's how they met. But many people believe that this was the first time they were meeting in person.
Yo, she is like super comfortable with like me, like, and I get it because that's like her safe haven. That's,
That's her
she
escape.
basically lives online, but I'm just like meeting up with this much people from online, knowing the type of people that circulate through these boards. Like, you're bound to run into some crazies.
You're bound.
Like eventually somebody's gotta you're gonna run into somebody that's not all there. Like
especially
you
if you're
can't
on
be the
boards
only one.
Yeah, you're on boards where men is known as orbiters. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not like that's just a little wild to me that like she kept
just meeting up
with people, and going places with them and feeling that comfortable.
Yep. And apparently in screenshots from Bianca's DMs with O on Discord. No. Apparently, from screenshots on Discord with a friend, Bianca gushed over O. Basically, kind of like, he smells so nice. He's perfect. I'm in love. And according to police, that night, Bianca kissed O while Brandon went to go get rolling papers. And Brandon witnessed the kiss. Even though he wasn't fully there with them while they were kissing, he saw it from a good distance. And that set him off. O, in a separate statement, said that Brandon was nasty and combative and that Bianca had given him his first kiss. Basically, Bianca gave O his first kiss. Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, so this was a very like
intense 3-person ordeal now.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Because Brandon still had to take her back home.
Gosh, man.
Yes.
And he's riled up. He's tight.
Of course he's riled up.
Yeah.
He witnessed them kiss and he in his head
he's like, I came out here. Did he know O was coming?
Yes, I believe he knew O was coming. But
so did O ride in the car with them?
No, he met up with them in the concert. But he didn't, in his head, he didn't think of O as anything else.
He just thought, all right, you're a friend just like me, but I still probably have more of a shot than you.
Yes.
So now he goes off to get rolling papers. They kiss, and he's like, and I got to drive you all the way back home? Yeah, his world was crashing and burning.
Yep. And it was believed that they had an argument, and reportedly, Brandon killed Bianca. Yes.
That night?
In a fit of rage and jealousy.
Oh, snap.
He slashed her throat with a knife he had been carrying. And there's more evidence as to what he did later on, which we're going to discuss because it gets gruesome. It gets gruesome. But Brandon, after killing Bianca, took pictures of her body and posted them on I believe it was her Discord, with the caption, "Sorry, fuckers, you're going to have to find somebody else to orbit." And the picture,
that's sick.
in the description, was a woman with wing eyeliner and a black top with her throat cut and her face splattered with blood.
Yo, this guy just crashed out. Did he kill her at the concert or like?
We're gonna dive into those exact details in a little bit because there's actual proof of what he did. There's actual proof.
Wait, he just had a knife on him, like just willy nilly.
It was believed that he actually premeditated this.
So he knew he was gonna kill her at this concert.
We're gonna dive into this. So,
yo, this guy is.
So from seeing that message on Discord, things began to spiral. Bianca's friends obviously saw the picture and they began trying to figure out what was going on. At 7:21, they began to receive calls of the picture being on Discord from Bianca's friends and people that follow her. The police also received calls about Brandon and a random self-exit note he had left at his aunt's house. Brandon had apparently also posted alarming messages and images on his Instagram story, which was obviously the picture of Bianca's arm with the caption, "I'm sorry, Bianca." And he changed his bio to July 13th as his date of death.
What the heck?
Yep. He also sent a message to his mom on Facebook Messenger saying, "I am so sorry, Mom. I love you."
Oh, this guy was ready. He was ready.
So at 7:30 a.m., police dispatchers received a call from Brandon saying he was located in Post Street, a dead-end street about a mile from where Bianca went to school. Brandon said he committed a self-exit and that he was an organ donor. And he ended the phone call to the police saying that he needed to finish the self-exit part of the murder and hung up. Obviously, police ran towards there because they're like, hold on, like murder. What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Police found Brandon lying on top of a green tarp. And a small fire was going on a few feet away where he had destroyed his laptop and his hard drive. He had apparently stepped on his laptop and his hard drive like to a point where it's like actually crushed and broken.
And then was burning it.
Yep. He also spray painted the words, "May you never forget me," on the ground while he was live streaming to his Instagram followers. Brandon.
This sounds like some attention shit.
Yes. Brandon.
Because like you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot.
Live streaming to your followers?
Like people that really do the whole self-exit murder thing, right. Like that would have just like
there would have been no call about I'm doing a self-exit.
Or
murder.
maybe, and then like it would have just happened. Like this, like a lot of this is like showtime. Like it's feeling dragged out.
Yeah.
A little bit.
No, it really is. And Brandon proceeded, as the police got there, to cut his throat and taken a selfie, which was added to his Instagram story, saying "ashes to ashes."
What the heck?
Yes.
So he did cut his throat.
He cut his throat. He was doing the self-exit part of the murder.
Yeah.
Self-exit. But he survived. Apparently, police found him struggling on the ground after he slit his throat. Yeah. He was like struggling, and police were kind of like, "Really, dude? Like, what the hell's wrong with you?" So he ended up in the hospital, and the next morning they began questioning him. Obviously, he began appearing on the news because this is news in Utica. This is it's not a massive city like New York City where crime happens every minute. Yes, crime happens, but like this is massive news.
Yeah.
So now his pictures are up on the news, and you know, he just was like very quiet about it. He was very, I don't know, he was very curious about he was very quiet about the part where he did something to Bianca, but he was more curious about what his image was on the news.
Yeah, you see?
What he looked like.
It feel like yeah, he's like the fact that he got that upset that she kissed the other guy and like did all this elaborate shit. Like it just seems like he has like issues when it comes to his self-image and attention and you know, yeah. So that doesn't sound too far-fetched.
Yeah. And that's the only thing he cared
Posting
about.
Up her body online, like it just Yep.
And as the day continued, the day after, on July 14th, the trend RIP Bianca started on Twitter. Her photo began to be shared and spread and reposted for weeks.
The one where she's actually dead?
Yes.
The fuck?
Yes. Instagram claimed that they were taking action, but the photo did not stop spreading. It went from Instagram to Twitter to Discord to all of these other places. And obviously her family witnessed that. Her family was seeing that.
That's disgusting, man.
People were evil. A lot of these people were, I'm not going to lie, a lot of these people on the internet don't necessarily have the best intentions. And we can see it here on this case because a lot of people began forcing Bianca's family members to look at the picture. They posted Bianca's body, the picture of Bianca's body, under a comment underneath Bianca's mom's Facebook profile.
Yo, whoever did that should go to jail. That should be a crime.
Another person airdropped the picture to her friend's mom, who was living with Bianca's mom at the time, and they were all very close. They airdropped the picture of her body at a grocery store.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
So after finding everything out and investigating, police found sick evidence. Police found a video of Brandon killing Bianca. So he filmed.
He filmed the murder?
Yes.
From start to finish?
Yes. Basically, Bianca was obviously thinking they were going to go back home, and she was sleeping in the back of his car. And the video starts there. You see him sitting on the phone, Bianca sleeping in the back of her car, and he kind of wakes her up and confronts her about the kiss with O. He's like, hey, like, did you do this on purpose? Did you mean to kiss him? And Bianca said yes. But she apologized. She was like, I'm sorry, like, you know, you might feel some type of way, but you also have to remember we're not exclusive. And Brandon did not like this. He said that sorry was not enough. Then Bianca was like, hey, God, can we just please go home? And as she's asking him to go back home, he reached behind on, like, I guess, the passenger pocket seat of his car, grabbed a knife, grabbed Bianca, and just killed her. What
the heck?
Yes. And prosecutors say this is the most disturbing video they have seen. Because this is you see the moment where Bianca's like talking to him, everything's like seems normal to her. She's kind of like a little like uncomfortable.
And you can tell that like
she was caught off guard.
That like in his mind, like she's caught off guard and he already kind of had his plan set out.
Yep.
Disgusting bullshit.
And on the video, as he was killing her, he blamed her. He said, Bianca, why did you make me do this? Sicko. Later, it was found out that Brandon utilized the Notes app on his phone and typed out a sick checklist. It does not said what the checklist contained, but it was sinister.
A checklist of what he was going to do.
Probably. Also, Brandon did multiple internet searches on ways to kill. The police found all of this evidence, I guess, looking back at his phone, and some of the search was eerie, like how to choke someone to death or how to kill someone.
Damn. So yeah, this is all premeditated. He knew he was gonna do that.
Yep.
Now hold on, like most of these searches were before the concert?
Yes.
Damn, so he was already planning
he was plotting to kill her.
So like no matter what she did, he was probably gonna do that.
Yes. And his aim, it is believed that his total goal in killing her was to kind of show that, hey, I'm not one of your little orbiters. Like, I'm not one of your little fans.
Yeah. You're actually worse. You're exactly like them, but 10 times worse because they wouldn't come kill me.
And also, as the internet trend kept going up of Bianca's picture, a lot of like the orbiters, a lot of incels kind of were like cheering him on. They were like, I want to see the next one. I want to see what happens next. They were like excited. Which is
because
sick.
They're like hurt by women or the world in a way.
Right.
Yeah, so
they were excited, and I guess like that's what made him happy, and that's why he wanted to know what his image was like.
That's nasty.
Shortly before trial in February 2020, Brandon pleaded guilty to Bianca's murder. So he knew he was wrong. He apologized. He was like, I'm sorry, I did wrong. But 5 months later, after pleading guilty, so this is February, 5 months later, July 2020, a year later, he took back his plea and tried to get the court to help him change it.
You see
And
what
the
I'm talking
court
about?
was
Like,
"Hold on."
like shit like this, man. Like, you're just wasting our tax dollars. You're wasting our time. Shit like that should not be allowed. Like,
Yes.
if you're on camera doing it,
Right.
I don't want to hear from you.
All right.
Like, we're not talking about a CCTV footage where it's in black and white and we're trying to figure out if that's you or not. We know it's you. We can hear your name. We can hear your voice. We can see you do the crime. I don't fucking want to see you in court. Like, there should be nothing.
Right.
We should get 12 people to watch the footage and go, what do you see? If they say what the fuck, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and they see the shit that we think that we all see, there should be no court. There should be no... Like, this is why the courts are backed up, because we got bullshit cases in there like this.
Also, yes, but that's true. But there's also like has to be a
due process.
Right.
I think that is due process.
No,
like,
it is.
Because
It
you gotta
is.
think,
That's the
right?
thing,
You gotta
it
think.
is.
Back in the day, there was no cameras.
Right.
Right? So certain things need to be updated. If I have the footage of that, the
Right.
due process should be there's the 12 jurors.
Right.
There's everybody that's in the courtroom. I pull up the fucking video, and that's all we watch.
That's
And we
true.
all just go down the line. Is that him? Is that? And then I ask you, is that you? What do you say? Is that you?
Right.
Yes, because we all think that's you. Is that you?
Right.
If you say yes, and we all say that that's you, and it's clear as day. I'm not talking about shit where we gotta figure it out. I'm talking clear as day shit.
Right.
We're wasting everybody's
make
fucking
sense.
time. And you don't deserve the attention, the light of day, the money, the time, the resources to go into even letting you talk. You've done your talking.
Yeah.
So-
Essentially,
Yeah.
it's one of those, because the court also ended up asking him why he would like to change his plea, and his reasoning for changing his plea was that his former attorney, Luke Nebush, we're gonna refer to him as Luke, who was a well-respected public defender, he blamed him for not visiting him enough in prison and pressuring him into pleading guilty. So basically, Brandon was like, hey, my lawyer didn't help me. My lawyer didn't do anything. He wanted me to plead guilty. And the lawyer was like, hold on. That is not true at all. That is not what happened. He said that, in fact, Luke was the one who encouraged Brandon to not plead guilty and go to trial. But it was Brandon who refused. So Brandon was stubborn and was like, no, I'm going to plead guilty. And
Yeah, because he wanted to make a statement. But then he probably sat back and realized, wait, I could do more talking
Yes.
and be more on camera if I do go to trial. Yeah, let's go to trial. No trial.
the
It's
judge
done. Pack it
denied
up.
his request.
Yeah, pack that up, bro. You
Yep.
already said it. Pack that up.
And on March 16th in 2021, nearly 2 years after Bianca was killed, he was finally sentenced. Brandon was obviously sentenced to 25 to life. Bianca's mom spoke out on that situation and said, I think I know why Brandon wanted to go to trial. Apparently, he found out that there was a media and a production company interested in Bianca's story, and he wanted to tell his side. But Brandon would never admit to
predictable,
that.
bro. So predictable. So predictable. So predictable. I can read that shit like a book. And you know what? Like, I'm blaming that more on his mental health.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a way where I'm justifying what he did, but I'm like, that's what makes what he did and his next steps and all this shit so predictable.
Yeah.
Is that like, it's all coming from a place of bad mental health.
Yep.
And he's, I don't know the word, I can't find the word for it, but like, he needs attention. He needs to be loved and seen.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because he's not loved and seen,
Right.
that's what drove him to kill. And then because he's not loved and seen, that's what made him film the murder in the first place.
Yeah.
And because he's not loved and seen, that's what makes him make the call that goes, hey guys, this is what I'm about to do.
Well, he's on Instagram Live.
This is what, let's say, like 5-year-olds who don't know how to, like, and I'm not calling him a 5-year-old, but like 5-year-olds who don't know how to basically get the attention that they're looking for. Right. That's what kind of what they do. Like, they get ready to do some wild shit while looking at you.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically what he did.
No, yeah, that is
right?
what he
Because
did.
he had no other reason to film it. He had no other reason to post the picture.
Nope.
He had no other reason to, circle back the block to say that he wants to take trial. that shit is just so predictable, man. Like I saw that coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
I saw that. I didn't even know about. I didn't know. I wasn't thinking as far ahead as a production company, but I know like that's what serial killers and people who want the attention for doing what they do.
Like
they
Ted
say,
Bundy, right?
I want to take it to trial now.
Right.
I don't want to just because if you just plead straight guilty, you know what happens? They just bring you straight to they go, okay, they bring you into the courtroom. How would you like to plead? He said he'd like to plead guilty. They walk you back out and people never see or talk about you again.
Right.
But he wants to be forever immortalized. You don't deserve that. You deserve to rot in hell.
Right. So while the images of Bianca before trial, after her death, was trending on Instagram, Bianca's supporters and people who kind of have been bothered by orbiters, females who kind of haven't had that experience, they began flooding Instagram with that hashtag RIP Bianca with a bunch of like pretty images and clouds and just like art to kind of like bring down the
negative stuff,
which helped a lot. And it was even said that Bianca's mom like appreciated that. I think there's also a hashtag called Pink for Bianca, and that's part of it because pink was one of her favorite colors. Much later on, after trial, behavioral scientist Stephen Cremando said he believes that individuals most likely responsible for the attacks on Bianca's family belong to a community of men called incels. Incels is a short word for involuntarily celibate. Incels are essentially men, 21 or older, who have gone 6 months or longer without any sort of sexual activity and not by their own choice. Incels essentially see themselves as victims.
Yeah.
Which explains all the behaviors that they have been doing online, posting that picture,
I didn't even know that that's what incel
airdropping
was
them.
short for.
Yeah, me neither.
I didn't involuntarily celibate. I did not know that.
Me neither, which is interesting. After trial, obviously after her death, Bianca's family began to advocate for laws to change, especially in regards to the sharing of violent images online. And in 2022, Governor Kathy Hochul signed Bianca's law. Essentially, it's a law that criminalizes the sharing of personal images with the intent to degrade or abuse.
That's good.
The law mandates social media platforms to establish rules and offices dedicated to identifying and removing violent content, which is very important, which is why we have a lot of these like filters and a lot of the quick, like when you ever say a word like kill or this or that, like your post or whatever you're saying gets immediately shut down.
Yeah.
And this is why, which was a really good change. And it's a very sad story about how meeting people online in real life can go wrong. And it also is a perfect example of why you shouldn't necessarily trust everyone you meet online, because they might present themselves one way, but you never know who they really are on the inside or what their true intentions are.
This has been another episode of Voltage and Villains. If you are watching on YouTube and you enjoyed the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Leave some comments down below to other cases that you'd like us to cover. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, turn on automatic downloads. Rate us a 5 out of 5 stars. And until next time, do good, be good, and take care.
Bye.